Hello everybody. Today we're going to do ladybugs crawling up a flower stem. Here's my reference, two ladybugs, and I don't know if you can see, but it's a white flower on a bent stem. And what I've done is I cut out these leaf shapes out of a green flat felt. And then I'm going to needle felt the details on it. I've left a little bit of wool at the end so that it's easier to tack it in. And it's kind of a moss green, and then I use this little bit of mustard yellow color to make the lines. And so as you can see, I'm poking that in there right now. Each leaf I'm going to do separately, and I'm putting this vein up the center there. And it doesn't have to be perfectly straight because, you don't need a ruler, just, get the feeling of the leaf. And I'm going to do those veins on the front and the back. And as I do each leaf, then I'm going to attach it. And if you notice, plants grow kind of in a spiral, so you want to think about that when you're placing your leaves, and that makes your flower or whatever foliage you're working on look a little more realistic. Now those two white things next to my hand there, those are the base bodies for the the ladybugs. So I've got to color them and whatever. And working small is difficult because you got to hold it, and it's just small, even though you got that nice sharp needle, which is good for accuracy. It's still a little difficult for me to, work that small. And I'm just pulling off that yellow color and doing the vein on the inside of that particular leaf petal. And you can see that green ball in the center, which I'm going to decorate, which you'll see later on. But that helps for me to have something to needle felt the leaves into so that they're all sturdy. You don't want these things to be easily pulled out or anything like that. I always try to make everything, very secure so it lasts a long, long time. The stem, I think I'm, going to set aside now, and I'm going to mix the color of the white petal that I'm going to put into the stem. And I decided to use this little bit of sky blue that I'm going to mix with my white, because not everything is completely white, even if you're looking at white. So, I don't know, I just like to do that. I think it looks a little more realistic. Some of the petals, of course, will be completely white, but I'm going to start with this one, see how it works. And so right now I'm just going to, poke that in there and get it to the shape that I think I want. And do both sides. And then I'm going to use my little trusty acetate that's folded in half. It's a real fingertip saver as far as poking yourself. And you just put the wool between there and then poke it and shape it. You can see through the acetate, obviously, so you can see what you're doing. And just go ahead and shape it right there between your fingers. And then you don't have to think so much about poking yourself. This has really been a handy-dandy tool. And saves a lot of time when you're doing needle felting. And then see, I can shape, so it looks like the petal has a little roundness at the end of it. It's great. So of course I'm going to continue this for each petal. I've sped up the video here. I don't want to, it takes a while, but, I wish I could work this fast. But anyway, I'm making the petals. I add a little white to that blue. I thought it was too blue. And of course using the acetate. I'm going to make each petal for the flower, and then install that on that bud wire leaf in a spiral. Some will overlap, some will not. And when I needle felt here, you want to do the underneath side and the inner side, and then it's tacked carefully in. And you can also shape, if you want it concave or if you want it to bend, when you're poking it, you'll find out what happens. You can see how you can control which way you want the petal to go. If you don't like the shape, you can compress it a little bit more. I had one petal I thought was a little too long, so I put the acetate, and I think that's the one I'm working on right now. I liked it at first, but then I ended up, because it kind of stuck out from the rest, so I poked it from the top, and just compressed the wool a little more. I mean, this wool is a very easily manipulated medium. It's really, cut it off, add to it, poke it down, whatever. It's great. So now I'm going to move on to showing you about the ladybugs. Well, I covered the ladybug with a nice red, and then I needle felted the dots in, and then I had to stick these little legs all the way through it, and then I put a little bit of super glue at each opening where the leg comes through, so it's not sliding all around. That can drive you absolutely crazy when the legs are moving all over the place. So I'm just poking it around with my needle so you can see both sides. Now you're only going to see one side of the ladybug, so I'm not too concerned what's going on this side. It's the other side that's the one that's going to be visible to, in the frame. So like I said, you put that little bit of glue right at those points, and then that keeps the leg from moving around. So it's really 3 pieces of wire long enough to make 6 legs. That's the side that's going to be seen. And I think that the ladybug should be flatter on the bottom. They're a little round, but I think they're cute the way they go up the stem like that. And then there's the flower. And you can see I put a little bit of pink inside of there on that green bulb. So, it's not just a green thing in there. And that looks really good. And of course I sign it, and it's in my shadow box frame. And that will be it. The ladybugs crawling up a flower stem. Until next time, that takes care of the ladybugs on the flower. Happy needle felting.